Hey, what's up everyone? It's Dolbeck. You probably already know, but there is the Israel versus Iran war starting now. This is kinda huge. It's almost like if the World War III was coming. I'm gonna just look and make sure that my setting of the stream is fine, and then we're gonna jump straight into it. So I'm doing that really quick on my other PC right there, putting some tags and stuff. There you go. So I got this video right there. The dude was looking smart and seems like he wanted to just give some good information. We're gonna start with that. And then we're gonna see more about it.
Also now have a statement from the Prime Minister. Natanz is now being destroyed. This is the main one of the main nuclear facilities in Iran. We're going to get your reaction in the live chat as well, but of course this is still ongoing, so we're going to prioritize the actual videos and updates and statements, and then we're going to get your reaction in the live chat as usual. Let's go to the Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu.
Moments ago, Israel launched Operation Rising Lion, a targeted military operation to roll back the Iranian threat to Israel's very survival. This operation will continue for as many days as it takes to remove this threat. For decades, the tyrants of Tehran have brazenly, openly called for Israel's destruction. They've backed up their genocidal rhetoric with a program to develop nuclear weapons. In recent years, Iran has produced enough highly enriched uranium for 9 atom bombs. 9.
That's huge.
In recent months, Iran has taken steps that it has never taken before, steps to weaponize this enriched uranium. And if not stopped, Iran could produce a nuclear weapon in a very short time. It could be a year, it could be within a few months, less than a year. This is a clear and present danger to Israel's very survival. 80 years ago, the Jewish people were the victims of a Holocaust perpetrated by the Nazi regime. Today, the Jewish state refuses to be a victim of a nuclear Holocaust perpetrated by the Iranian regime.
Ever wondered what happens when legs like these almost suddenly become
I
like
need
this?
to be
Cases like this are practically
premium
textbook
or
examples of
something.
Now, as Prime Minister, I've made it clear time and again, Israel will never allow those who call for our annihilation to develop the means to achieve that goal. Tonight, Israel backs those words with action. We struck at the heart of Iran's nuclear enrichment program. We struck at the heart of Iran's nuclear weaponization program. We targeted Iran's main enrichment facility in Natanz.
That's huge.
We targeted Iran's leading nuclear scientists working on the Iranian bomb. We also struck at the heart of Iran's ballistic missile program. Last year, Iran fired 300 ballistic missiles at Israel.
300?
Each of these missiles carries a ton of explosives and threatens the lives of hundreds of people. Soon, those missiles could carry a nuclear payload, threatening the lives not of hundreds, but of millions. Iran is gearing up to produce 10,000 of those ballistic missiles within 3 years. Now just imagine 10,000 tons of TNT landing on a country the size of New Jersey.
It's over.
This is an intolerable threat. It too must be stopped. Iran is now working on what it calls the new plan to destroy Israel.
Wait,
See,
do you guys think it's like the start of like the World War III or something? Like it's huge. We got multiple war happening at the same time, and the Iran people, they did shoot on the United States people too. So it's gonna maybe escalate even more. That depends on how good the Israel people gonna manage to strike. If they don't strike hard enough, maybe it's gonna just escalate.
the old plan failed. Iran and its proxies tried to encircle Israel with a ring of fire and to attack us with the horrible attack of October 7th. But the people of Israel, the soldiers of Israel rose like lions to defend our country. We crushed Hamas.
We will go back to the Prime Minister shortly. That statement continues, but we have some breaking news for you guys. Residents in Tehran, in the capital, have now released a new video. Iranian MiG F-29 fighter jets are now taking off from Mehrabad Airport. Mehrabad Airport, which is a domestic airport in the western parts of Tehran, it's already been hit by the Israelis, but clearly some parts of it still exist. So the runway still exists. So they have now taken off. They are now going towards the state of Israel to attack. We have a short video from that moment for you guys. Let's go.
Yeah, not all the clip are really nice.
So the Israelis have now confirmed that the Iranian regime are attacking. Senior Israeli officials and leaders have now been transferred to a safe location, according to the IDF. We can also give you the most ridiculous statement that we have just received from the Islamic Republic of Iran, despite the fact that we have already shown you guys the evidence of everything that's actually been happening. Tehran Emergency Services have released a statement saying, currently, we have not received any official reports of an incident resulting in an explosion or casualties. This is despite the fact that the chief of staff of the army has now been eliminated by Israel. Absolutely fascinating. I'm not really sure what they're drinking. The markets have now crashed, by the way. Oil surges 6.69%. It's now reached $74. All right, let's quickly show you the map in case you're not familiar with Iran. So Tehran, obviously in the north of Iran, and that's the main area. You got the IRGC bases, the headquarters, the research sites, the scientists, everybody's there, including my father, obviously. Then you have Fordo, that's one of the nuclear facilities. Arak is another one. Esfahan, which is kind of the third city in Iran. Natanz, of course, that's the main nuclear enrichment facility. We got Bushehr in the southern part of Iran, and Bonab, which is in Tabriz, basically, near Tabriz, in the northwest of Iran. All this has been hit so far. More is going to be hit over the next few minutes and hours, and this operation is not going to end anytime soon. This is unlike what you saw last year and a few months ago. This is not a slap on the wrist. This is the Israelis ensuring that the Iranian regime are no longer a threat to their country. We now have the Islamic Republic of Iran, their state media, following their idiotic statement that I just read out. They are now confirmed that the Israelis have targeted the IRGC scientists working on the nuclear weapon. So they're not even denying it anymore. This is literally the translation of what they've said.
So they kill some scientists, but scientists are not civilian.
Airspace have now been closed over both Iraq and Syria. This is, of course, we know exactly why that's happening. So Syria is now gone. Assad is gone, which was an ally, who was an ally to Iran. The Iranian jets are now flying over from Iran to Israel. They have to go through Iraq, Syria, and all that, and Jordan. These countries are now going to be stopped, apart from Iraq, they're going to be stopping the attacks from the Iranian regime. Now, those buildings, only the Islamic regime officials and their families live in the apartment complex that was hit, that's collapsed. Obviously, we already knew that. We now have the confirmation as well.
So it was not civilian
I
target.
wonder how far the Iranian
There was
fighters
some family,
can
though.
actually go. Let's just double check to see if we have... the aircrafts are now being turned away from the Iraqis' airspace as well. That's been closed reportedly. Let's double check with you guys. Okay. We are now waiting for a very, very important update. While we wait for that to develop,
I'm gonna
Yes,
skip
while we
real
wait for that to
quick.
develop, let's quickly get some reaction from
Okay,
you
he's
lovely
gonna get
people in
some
the live
clipping.
chat. Wow,
No,
it's,
no,
it's all
no. Let's
happening, by the
skip
way.
that part.
PC says, I stand with Israel. Absolutely. Well done, PC. And
There's a
all the
speech over
The
there.
collapse of
Come on.
Assad's murderous regime in Syria. The peoples of those two countries now have a chance for a different future, a better future. So too do the brave people of Iran, and I have a message for them. Our fight is not with you. Our fight is with the brutal dictatorship that has oppressed you for 46 years. I believe that the day of your liberation is near. And when that happens, the great friendship between our two ancient peoples will flourish once again. I want to assure the civilized world, we will not let the world's most dangerous regime get the world's most dangerous weapons. And Iran plans to give those weapons, nuclear weapons, to its terrorist proxies. That would make the nightmare of nuclear terrorism all too real. The increasing range of Iran's ballistic missiles would bring that nuclear nightmare to the cities of Europe and eventually to America. Remember, Iran calls Israel the small Satan. It calls America the great Satan. And this is why for decades, it's led millions in the chants of death to Israel and death to America. Today, Israel is responding to those genocidal calls with action and with a call of our own. Long live Israel and long live America. Our action will help make the world a much safer place. I want to thank President Trump for his leadership in confronting Iran's nuclear weapons program. He has made clear time and again that Iran cannot have a nuclear enrichment program. Today, it is clear that Iran is just buying for time. It refuses to agree to this basic requirement of peaceful nations. That is why we have no choice but to act, and act now. The hardest decision any leader has to make is to thwart a danger before it is fully materialized. Nearly a century ago, facing the Nazis, a generation of leaders failed to act in time. They were paralyzed by the horrors of World War I. They were determined to avoid war at all costs, and they got the worst war ever. They adopted a policy of appeasement. They closed their eyes and ears to all the warning signs. That failure to act resulted in World War II, the deadliest war in history. It claimed the lives of 60 million, including 6 million Jews, a third of my people. After that war, the Jewish people and the Jewish state vowed never again. Well,
took a long time to recover.
Never again is now. Today is...
Yes. Okay, so we can now confirm that Natanz, which is the main nuclear facilities for uranium enrichment, has been destroyed by the state of Israel. Now, the Iranian people will be making their move. The Islamic Republic of Iran, it's time for them to face their final countdown. There is so much that's going to happen in the next few hours and in the next few days. There's going to be more confirmation about the leaders of the IRGC over the next few minutes in terms of the elimination of them. Let's quickly get...
That's huge, man. I'm gonna look if there's some news that are more news than that. This one has 58K people watching, man.
Let's see.
Look to move my camera real quick. I think it over there can be good. So this is straight up, he's watching live, something's gonna happen. I don't know what, but there's 58K people watching this and nothing is happening.
Oh, Khan News Israel. News update. Khan News Israel reports that Israel has hit at least 10 nuclear scientists. Also, Israeli officials say we are only at the beginning. This is an ongoing event.
Damn. Yeah, this is live. He's going raw with the real information.
Where is that report here?
So right now he's like recording some city and waiting to see if something's gonna explode, like. Because I know that
Again, that is a report from Khan News, Israel. They say Israel has hit at least 10 Iranian nuclear scientists, and Israeli officials say we are only at the beginning. This is an ongoing event.
Okay, so just repeat that. I'm not watching that. Wait a second. Is there some... I'm gonna type eyes... Oh, this one is
between
live?
Israel and Iran. On the other, we have a long-running crisis in Gaza that sees no end in sight. What do you make of the implications from today's attacks for the wider region here?
I think the whole region now is facing the very, very dangerous scenario. As you mentioned, on the one hand, some wars and some conflicts in this region are still continuing. For example, the war in Gaza
horrible.
is really conflicts with Yemen Houthi, is really the wars in, for example, Lebanon and Syria partly still continue. And then on the other hand, the new crisis, new tension now rise between Israel and Iran, and the new possibilities of the war of escalating now moving on the horizon. So that's why I think the whole region now is facing a very difficult challenges from the war and the possible crisis. That's why I think international community should do something, try to intervene.
Man, those news have bad audio. I've seen a lot of news with bad audio, but I think this is the worst I've seen in my life. This one have 1,000 people watching it. So this is some strike. They hit some scientists, some general, stuff like this, with a missile, drone. It's probably more missile. I feel like this is stuff that we see everywhere.
ساختمون ترکید نمیدونم موشک زدن چی زدن واحدهای بغلی رو خبر ندارم
Do you think they do a target in the building, or they try to put the building down with it? Like, do they strike straight up someone? Like, okay, so I think we saw everything they had to show over there. This one is 3 hours ago. This one is live.
Of people. Soon, those missiles could carry a nuclear payload, threatening the lives not of hundreds.
This is
but
not
of
a
millions.
true life. This is
Iran
just
is
a
gearing-
loop that people already saw.
A message that has steeled their resolve ever since.
Same speech.
Questions at this point are what capabilities Iran has right now, and will Hezbollah use whatever missiles it still has? That's a great question. Hezbollah, right across the border in Lebanon, Maybe still has some missiles. Are they going to use them? Just look at the map here. Iran's a lot farther away than Lebanon is. Iran is here. Oops, hold on. Iran's here, hundreds of miles away from Israel. But Lebanon is right across the border. And so maybe Hezbollah does have some missiles left. Israel just launched strikes in the Beirut area, I think like last week, saying Hezbollah was working on drones.
So it's ongoing since a while.
Oops, sorry. Anyways, that's some really interesting analysis, which matches some of the things we've been talking about by Anshel Pfeffer of The Economist.
So he's still just waiting for something to happen. He's doing the news live. I respect that. I mean, we need people like this.
But he says we don't know what capacities Iran has right now.
We probably don't have that much.
Oh, Roy Case, Israeli reporter, says, this is from Al Arabiya reports that Israeli sources say 300 strikes on Iran so far.
300?
I haven't seen the original report there.
300 strikes? Like missile or drone and missile? Because that sounds like they speak about missile right now. Like they are not even... You see, on the Russian war, they are just sending drone at each other. They don't really commit. But those, they did commit. Like they go head on, straight up. Let's see the chat over there. Look, you got a chat going. They got a bot saying don't spam the chat, but spamming is fun, dude. Let people spam. You see what I mean? So right now he's like looking a couple city and waiting for. They just want to see if Iran gonna be able to strike back or something.
Trey Yinks just posted a video of Israeli jets over Tel Aviv.
So this one is not moving. I guess we can come back there. Let's try to refresh this. Maybe there's some real news. Maybe on Twitter. Twitter sometimes have better news than the news themselves. Seriously, it's crazy. If I put like if I can type it right, would be nice. Can see some explosions straight up. That's a huge. This is a missile. It's not a drone. I don't think they are using drone at all. Like they go hard. The sound is maybe too loud. I'll lower it a bit. Imagine you're in this city right now and like there's like 5-6 missiles that just hit 6 missiles that just hit the same city, man. Are you the next one? Another one over there. Um, so right now there's probably a lot of video blocked too because some people already try to do misinformation and there's people cleaning up, trying to take all the fake stuff out. So this is probably real, but this is why it's probably hard to find a real one. They go hard, man. I hope that the people from the country manage to like leave. Like, no, they did not. You see that there's a lot of people. I'm not smart to say that. I don't think you have time to leave that type of thing. Whoa!
طال المطار ده نعم تحرك 200 المطار يا رب الله يا المطار دخل المطار.
So they say that like Israel right now launched 300 missiles to that country. Like a lot of them probably got intercepted in the air, but still. Look at this, man.
طال المطار ده نعم تحرك 200 المطار يا رب الله.
I think it's the best video I've ever seen of a war. Like it's short, but man, that's nuts. Like this part over there, like when you look, you look at the sky. I'ma pose it. This is like missile and anti-missile over in the sky. That's crazy, man. Oh, and it's missile coming from Iran and reach Israel. It's not even Israel. Damn. Let's see if there's some news. It's loud. So what is that? It's like people who got alert on their cell phone saying that there's going to be a war.
اما خبرنگاران خبرگزاری صدا و سیما پیگیر خبرهایی هستند تا جدیدتر از منابع رسمی باشن. هموطنان تقاضا میکنم خبرها رو از رسانه ملی دنبال میکنن. اما تصاویری که ملاحظه میکنی تصاویری هست که لحظاتی قبل در فضای مجازی منتشر شده.
It's an English post and they are not even translated in. You know, I was thinking I was going to sleep, but when I saw that pop in, I was like, I cannot go sleep. I need to like look at it, and I was like, why not just stream it? Oh, more.
Moments ago, Israel launched Operation Rising Lion, a targeted military operation to roll back the Iranian threat to Israel's very survival.
I saw this already. It's a speech that you guys gonna see everywhere. You see the same speech is passing right there. Those who first post have good news, but they do a lot of loop. Same speech again. And this one is the only one I feel like that is like this dude is live, straight up, waiting for something to happen. This dude is ready, man.
Here's what I'm going to do. We're going to keep the stream going. I am going to take. I'm going to take 5 minutes right now. And put a little food in the air fryer. Not the full meal. I had finished half of my meal.
Yeah, you're a human. You do good. I'm gonna look on X if there's new stuff. Same stuff. If I type iron, maybe. Whoa, this is huge. There's no sound. This is a lot of missile, man. This is like they send a couple hundred missiles. It's huge. Iran. This is an explosion in Iran. I guess they probably hit a facility. The birds are still chirping in the background. Somehow. Okay, so look, this is from the Iran military. It's the missile that they're gonna use. Or ultimate negotiator, they say. Yeah, that looked kind of scary. I don't want that in my home. Iranian media report that Iran has declared war, yeah. So it's just a building burning. Not just, I mean, it's huge, but... Do you stand for Iran or Israel? I feel like Iran was like asking for it a bit, you know, like I don't like to be biased, but at the same time, you know, it's pretty hard to see. So let's see if there's some news right now. There's still some people saying Free Palestine in the chat. So this is what the people saw on their cell phone. So you see in those messages they say stay into a protected space, you have less chance to get hit, but at the end you're better to just get out of the city in an open field, because what they want to target is a building, you know, and if you're away from the building, you have less chance to get hit by that, I feel like.
تا جدیدتر از منابع رسمی باشن. هموطنان تقاضا میکنم خبرها رو از رسانه ملی دنبال میکنه. اما تصاویری که ملاحظه میکنی تصاویری هست که لحظاتی قبل در فضای مجازی منتشر شده، اما صحت این تصاویر هنوز به تأیید منابع موثق نرسیده. همکارانم در تلاش هستند تا تصاویر صحت این تصاویر رو از منابع موثق دریافت کنم. به محض اینکه تصاویر به دستمون برسه با تأیید منابع رسمی در خصوص تصاویر و
Trump just said to Fox News that some Iran leader will not be returning to the negotiation table. That means they got some leader straight up.
Moments ago, Israel launched Operation Rising Lion, a targeted military operation to roll back the Iranian threat.
So North Korea will provide military support to Iran? What? Is that true? That seems like legit. Where if North Korea goes support Iran, that's so bad, man. Like, it doesn't mean that much because North Korea is probably not even a threat, but at the same time, like, why? I don't understand. This is the missile they was bringing through a tunnel. That's a lot of missile. It was the Iran missile. What about Israel? Let's see if they post something over there. History is watching you. They post some
Has called for the
speech.
destruction of the state of Israel.
It's 3 hours ago. I guess you guys probably already saw that. If I type war news, maybe.
Farm in the wild, raise animals and harvest crops, make food for yourself and for sale.
No tanks.
The investigation is going on. We've dispatched an investigation team that's been deployed. The Foreign Secretary is leading on this, and we'll obviously update as soon as we can. But we're working with the Indian authorities on this to establish the facts. I would say to all families, friends of...
Okay, they are speaking. You know, you guys probably know there was a crash right now, recently today in India, a couple hundred dead.
آقا مجازی فیلم بگیری؟ آقا هماهنگ کردم. با کی هماهنگ کردی؟ با اون آقا.
و مردم رو خارج کردن، اما ساختمان بغل هم و ساختمان‌های کناری هم کاملا تخلیه شده. متاسفانه من پیکر شهدا رو دیدم، کودک و مهار بشه و همونطور که مشاهده می‌کنید نیروهای امداد و نجات کاملا دارن سعی میکنن آتیش رو مهار کنن. اگه سوالی باشه و متاسفانه این نشتی گاز اگر بشه مهار بشه میتونیم بریم از داخل ساختمون هم برای شما تصویر بگیریم. اینطور که مشخصه
Imagine you're a firefighter and you need to go into that, man. That's rough. It's me, or all the buildings look the same in that place? Maybe they just always show the same building. Those strikes are so clean that you wonder if they like target straight up one dude in the building. Like they know they live there, they just like boom. That's nuts, man. But there was the war with India. It was well documented compared to that. Like right now, all the video that you see, it's like handmade by people. There's no like reporter with real camera trying to film. I feel like they already ran away from this area. That's nuts, man.
ساعت الان 3:37 دقیقه ورودی
Still no news. Let's see what's on X. Maybe there's gonna be more stuff. So this is it. Those strike happen so quick, and Iran, I don't think they're gonna be able to retaliate. Like it was so quick. It's like taking a plaster off an arm. Like
Problem solved. Fiverr's got talented freelancers for anything we need. Yeah!
What might be, frankly, a massive retaliation.
A terrifying limbo we find ourselves in watching. Ora Lieberman, thank you. Please stand by. Jeremy as well. We've got more.
Joining us now, CNN political and national security analyst, also happens to work for the New York Times, David Sanger. Thanks so much for joining tonight, David.
Well, what an evening, Jim.
David, as you look at the range of these operations, nuclear facilities, missile installations, and also senior leadership, does that look to you like an attempt at regime decapitation, regime change?
It certainly looks right now, Jim, like it is an effort to decapitate the nuclear and the military leadership. We haven't seen them go after the political leadership, at least as far as we know. And I'm not sure whether they have the specificity of targeting to be able to do that. But two other things jump out at me at this. You know, for years, Jim, you and I have covered events where the Israelis and sometimes the United States have taken some pretty deep pokes at the Natanz nuclear enrichment site, which is, of course, the heart and soul of the Iranian program. They never, however, actually went to try to bomb it, and it is somewhat hardened and underground, not deep underground, but underground. And we don't know right now whether they achieved their main target here, which was to try to destroy, as Oren suggested before, the heart of the nuclear program. We don't know if they've made any attempt to go after the other major facility for the nuclear program, the Fordo enrichment site, which is deep underneath a mountain, about a half-mile under that mountain, and probably beyond Israel's reach. And we don't know about whether they have gone after all the rest of the nuclear infrastructure and missile infrastructure. If they did, then it might be harder for Iran to respond the way the Iranians feel like they should, because their own missile program has been crippled to some degree.
No question. The White House, as you know, of course, David, and you've been covering these, much like you covered, and we covered the Obama administration negotiations with Iran. The White House was planning to continue those negotiations this Sunday, meeting on Oman, U.S. And Iranian officials. I imagine those negotiations are done?
I imagine they are. I can't imagine the Iranians sending their foreign minister to meet Mr. Witkoff in Oman this weekend, as their military leadership is dead and many of their facilities are smoking ruins. I think the bigger risk right now is that Iran has some surviving parts of the nuclear program, and this attack drives it much more deeply underground. That they withdraw from the Nuclear Nonproliferation Treaty, that they simply say at this point they will conduct their nuclear activities without inspection. And while I don't think they could, get back to where they are super quickly, all the past attacks we've seen, they've recovered faster than we thought.
You know, David, The president campaigned on not having any new conflicts break out on his watch, as we all know. So how do you expect him to message this in the coming days?
It's going to be a little bit difficult because, you know, if this had happened under a previous president, Laura, I think you would have heard President Trump say, well, this never would have happened while I was president because Netanyahu respects me too much and, you know, respects the negotiation process that is going on here. But in this particular case, Netanyahu listened to the president make his case for letting diplomacy work and decided to short-circuit it. And I would bet that as we dig deeper into this, we're going to find there were some pretty heated exchanges. I wouldn't be at all surprised because the president did say he wanted to solve this problem peacefully, and he made it clear as recently as this afternoon that he didn't think the diplomacy had yet played out, even though it was clearly not making much progress.
David Sanger, thank you so much for your insight.
Thank you.
I do want to bring in now Congressman Seth Moulton, Democrat from Massachusetts. He serves on the House Armed Services Committee, and we should note, is a former Marine Corps officer. Congressman, thanks so much for taking the time this evening.
Good to see you.
So first of all, your reaction to these attacks tonight, and is it safe to say that Israel and Iran are now at war?
Well, it certainly looks that way. And although it's very early hours, not even early days, Israel, of course, has said this campaign will go on for a long time, and Iran has promised to respond. It's striking that the U.S. administration response, as we saw in Secretary Rubio's statement, is to distance itself from Israel's actions, to say this has nothing to do with us. This is not the route that we were pursuing, and almost pleading with Iran not to attack U.S. facilities. So Israel's really going on its own here. We might find out in coming days that Netanyahu is really going on his own.
U.S. is trying to make money right now
with taking out Iranian proxies, but taking out Iran's nuclear facilities is a different ballgame. So it's really way too early to see if this will work out.
In that statement from Secretary Rubio, which we should note included no even phrase of support for Israel or for these strikes, do you see an attempt at plausible deniability for U.S. involvement, or do you see almost explicit or at least implicit disapproval of these strikes?
Well, it's a little hard to say, but you know, in general, the Trump administration especially, but U.S. administrations in general, have been pretty quick to jump to Israel's side in the past. Yeah. So it's a pretty striking admission. And yes, they're pleading with Iran not to attack U.S. facilities, but they're also clearly saying this is not the approach that we wanted to take. And although Iran might not believe that, there's a lot of evidence to suggest that this is not what Donald Trump wanted to see happen.
You, of course, served in some of the endless wars, right, in the Middle East, as President Trump has described them. If the intention here by Israel is regime change, I don't have to tell you that the record of attempts at regime change in the region in recent years and decades is not a good one. And the U.S. has cautionary tales of its own to tell. Is that a achievable goal for Israel with these strikes, even with a series of strikes over several days, as Israeli officials seem to be describing?
Well, my primary concern is that it's less achievable with this kind of military action, because this kind of military action empowers the hardliners. It empowers the people in Iran who have said, you can't negotiate with the West. We can't have a deal. We need to just pursue this program militarily. And it will certainly reinforce the case that as soon as these strikes are over, Iran should reconstitute its nuclear program. This is one of the most important questions, Jim, that's always left out, is after this ends, whatever it is, how long does it take Iran to reconstitute? I asked that question of the commander of Central Command yesterday in a classified hearing. I can't tell you what the answer was because it's classified, but I'll tell you that's a chief concern that I have with any type of military action.
One thing is, sir, that if they just don't keep going at it, it's not gonna be over. They're just gonna rebuild and retry. If Israel really want to commit, like right now they did a really nice commitment. I mean, like if their goal is to win, I don't want to take a side of another, but their commitment is there. What they need is to keep going and like secure the country. Go, I don't know, man. Just go secure the win. If you let them rebuild, it's not good. On X, Twitter, sometimes the news are just better. Let's see if there's some news over there. Okay, yeah, they put Mexican flag all over the US. Not that again, please. And I'm gonna type Israel. So I feel like there's no new missile that it recently. Like after those hundreds of missiles, I feel like it's slowing down.
اینجا رو زدن اینجا رو هم زدن این لویزانم زدن پشتم زدن پشت لویزانم زدن اینجا
Yeah, so I think maybe that's it for today, guys. This one is 1 hour ago. Oh, sorry, guys. I need to lower the sound every time I change window because some are just so much higher.
Nuclear program and other military targets, and we have now confirmed from an Israeli security source into CNN that top military leaders and nuclear scientists were targeted in these opening strikes. But what we are hearing out of Israel tonight is this is not the end of this. The Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu himself, while defending this strike that Israel took, says this operation will continue for, quote, many days. I want to bring in Democratic Senator Jeff Merkley of Oregon, who sits on the Foreign Relations Committee and is joining me tonight. Thank you, Senator, for being here. Can I just first get your reaction to what we are seeing play out in Iran tonight?
This is absolutely what we've been expecting for several days. All the signs were there. We were moving all of our personnel from Iraq. We were keeping forces stationed in the area. The president was making kind of vague statements about the possibility. So this is what we were expecting. Caitlin, what really strikes me here is this is a tragedy that never had to be. I just think it's worth reminding folks that we would still be under very severe restrictions on Iran's nuclear program had we stayed in the JCPOA agreement. They had to put 97% of their nuclear materials outside the country. They proceeded, a cap on enrichment was a little over 3% as compared to 90% necessary for a nuclear weapon. Massive monitoring of every facility that they had. They had 3 paths to a nuclear weapon. And one was a uranium path, and that's what I've been describing. The second was a plutonium path, and they dismantled their plutonium reactor. And the third was a covert path. And the covert path is why all that monitoring would have occurred. All of these measures would still have been in place for another 5 years had we not taken ourselves out of the JCPOA and dismantled that framework.
And of course, talks were happening right now for the Trump administration trying to strike a new agreement with Iran. We'll see what this means for those. But as far as what's happening tonight, does this mean this is now a regional war, in your view, between Israel and Iran?
Well, Israel is by far the superior power. They're seizing this moment because they're at a peak of that power. Syria is in chaos. Hezbollah in Lebanon has been thoroughly deflated. And so in this moment, they are at the maximum ability to focus on a conflict with Iran. We anticipate, of course, there will be a reaction from Iran, but the U.S. undoubtedly will help Iran really blunt the effectiveness of any Iranian retaliation.
Will help Israel, you mean?
Will help Israel, yes.
Can I ask you on that? Because
Israel,
was just noting in the statement that we got from Secretary Rubio tonight, they don't say that they support Israel in the action that it's taking tonight. They say Israel advised them that they believed it was necessary for Israel's self-defense. They said that they've taken steps to protect U.S. forces. Does that stand out to you, sir, that that is not something that is included in that statement coming out of the White House tonight?
Absolutely. That part is missing. And while I could be wrong, it's very hard for me to imagine us not partnering to help defend Israel against a retaliatory strike.
So there's no doubt in your view that the U.S. will help Israel if and when Iran responds to this strike tonight?
That's certainly what I would anticipate. There's such close coordination with our intelligence, such close coordination with our military forces. We have forces in the region that can help, as we did before when Iranian drones and rockets, ballistic missiles came on Israel. So that's what I would expect.
You talked about this being an unnecessary move, essentially saying if the United States had not pulled out of the JCPOA, this situation would not be playing out. But of course, the United States did pull out. This is happening right now. Do you personally support the strikes that we're seeing from Israel tonight?
No, I do not support them. You know, Israel fiercely opposed working out in a peaceful fashion the deflation and diminishment of Iran's program. They constantly strive to say they wanted the military action. It will be interesting to see what American weapons were used in this strike. It's already been conveyed that our planes were not used, but I imagine some of the bombs were ours. I don't know if any of our American bunker busting bombs were used, which are much larger and take a larger plane to carry. But it's hard to imagine a situation, given our close coordination and intelligence with Israel, that we didn't have a pretty thorough sense. And just as you heard from your expert, it appears that the United States was alerting our allies in the region about the coming strikes. So we certainly had a fair amount of information.
Yeah, and including moving that non-essential personnel out of the way. Senator Jeff Merkley, thank you for joining us on this breaking news tonight. Also here tonight is CNN national security analyst and the former deputy director of national intelligence, Beth Sanner. And it's great to have you here, Beth. I want to ask you about this reporting that CNN has now confirmed that we do know senior military leaders in Iran and nuclear scientists were targeted in these strikes. We don't know yet how successful that was and how many were eliminated. Barak Ravid says that he is told that some of them were.
Around
if
20.
That is the case here, what does that tell you about how Iran may respond to this tonight?
Well, Caitlin, I think that there's one way of putting where we are right now. I mean, Israel is at war with Iran. This isn't a strike. This isn't a strike and a retaliation and a tit for tat. This is full up war. And so when Israel says it's going to keep going, this is where we are. And they started at the top, and they started very, very seriously, removing the chief of the general staff. In other words, like our chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, attacking basically what would be our, senior military command. You can imagine what Americans would do. The question is whether Israel's ability to respond has been affected by Israel trying to decapitate their senior military leadership. But we should expect, and that's what Israel is expecting, a massive, much bigger retaliation than what they saw last time, because Iran now is under existential threat. And we should expect a response along those lines.
Yeah, but can't they really
and to hear you put it so
retaliate?
bluntly, saying that Israel is at war with Iran here, in your view of what this means tonight, we're learning more about just beyond the airstrikes that we saw play out that were hitting Iran. Barak Ravid is also reporting tonight that the Mossad led a series of covert sabotage operations deep inside Iran, which he reports were aimed at damaging the strategic missile sites and its air defense capabilities. When you look at this and what options Israel had here on a scale of 1 to 10, how high would you say that is?
Please. No ads, YouTube.
That's pretty high in terms of what they're trying to do now is soften up like they did last time, remove any of the remaining air defenses that they can in order to have free reign in the air over Iran, limit the risk that their jets, their fighter jets would have in delivering ordnance. But we should also remember that they can't go to 10 or 11 like we would. But they don't have the GBU-43B. It's called the mother of all bombs. And they don't have it because they don't have bombers that can deliver it. They only have jets. and that limits the fighter jets, and that limits the amount of ordnance. And so they are forced to do multiple strikes where you're hitting over and over again the same thing so you can penetrate, but there's no way that they can independently wipe out Iran's nuclear facilities deep inside Fordo, deep inside this mountain with what they have.
Iran
For people who don't know
huge.
just fully what your job previously as Deputy DNI entailed, I mean, you would go in and brief the president personally at times for matters like this one. If you were in that situation now, I mean, what would that look like right now? What would you be preparing?
Well, right now, everybody would be doing situation reports. This is not the time for strategic analysis in one way. You put that aside and then some big picture things would be done. But right now, you're trying to figure out what's the threat to U.S. forces and what are our allies in the region going to do in response to this as well. You'll remember, or I think our listeners will as well, in April and in October, a number of the Arab states were absolutely crucial in providing the intelligence picture as well as doing some of the intercepts that were of the drones and missiles that were headed into Israel. And so understanding where everybody is in the region, what people are going to do, and then trying to do the bomb damage assessment as well on what has been wiped out in Iran and how does that affect their ability to fight back.
From space, it looks like a smudge on the coast, but zoom in and satellite imagery shows thick black smoke curling into the sky. These are fuel tanks burning just outside Port Sudan. The strikes were carried out by kamikaze drones targeting the airport, oil depots, and military bases. Until now, Port Sudan had been untouched by the civil war tearing the rest of the country apart. It hosts the official government and foreign embassies and serves as Sudan's only real link to international trade and humanitarian aid. Its neutrality was strategic, but now that safe zone has collapsed. No group claimed responsibility, but evidence points to the Rapid Support Forces, which is believed to be armed and financed by the UAE. The drones employed in the attack match Chinese-made models previously spotted in RSF-held areas and are suspected to have arrived through Chad.
Savais-tu qu'il existe des moyens de faire de l'argent en ligne sans...
They all use the same drone. Like when they want to show drone, they show the same drone for every war. They don't have like
it pushes the war into a new geography, the Red Sea, and it didn't go unanswered. Days later, the Sudanese army, which Turkey had quietly rearmed, launched retaliatory drone strikes deep into RSF territory. This isn't just a local war.
Have you guys realized that Turkey helped the bad people all around the world for some reason?
Anymore. It's a full-blown proxy conflict that pulls in foreign powers far and wide, most notably the UAE and Turkey. The two have stood on opposite ends in many conflicts throughout the periphery, but in Sudan, things have gotten lethal for Emirati and Turkish agents on the ground. Each side is deeply entrenched, and each is chasing stakes far bigger than the country itself. Port Sudan was the last domino, and it just fell. While drones reshape battlefields in Sudan, AI is quietly transforming battlefields of a different kind. Our jobs and economies. Most companies are already using AI. Microsoft, Amazon, and Google have laid off thousands because of it, and 40%.
Okay, so this is just a reportage. Wait a second. Let's see if there's some real news. I want the juice, the real juice.
Working to intercept them. So here's what I want to do. If you can bear with me. If you bear with me, they are expected to be in Israeli territory within a few hours, according to Ynet's Yoav Zelton. Okay? Again, Yoav Zelton of Ynet says they are expected to arrive in Israel within a few hours, possibly in combination with a ballistic missile barrage. So let me finish eating and then I'll come back and I'll talk about it, okay? All right? I'm just going to finish. It won't take long. I'm going to finish eating and we'll come back and we'll discuss.
So he's probably speaking about the jet sent by Iran that's gonna reach Israel. It's gonna probably reach in a few hours or under. So maybe 3 hours. I don't know how many time it take to reach. But the retaliation is starting. Like Iran, they send jet to this place, and I don't know if they're gonna get intercept on the way or something, but there's good chance that they just don't reach, I think. That depends on what the ally is gonna do. Looking if there's some nice news. What? This is all missile, guys. They sent like 300 to 400 missile. Look at this. This is just... It's a rain. It's, look, 42 seconds of missile just dropping and dropping. This is crazy. And there's no anti-air missile too. That means they managed to dismantle the air missile before sending the airstrike. So it's very, very clean from the Israel, like it's very, very clean from them. Really clean hit. This is huge. It's probably hard to film that with your cell phone. You don't want to get hit.
زدن پشتم زدن پشت رویزانم زدن اینجا
الان 3:37 دقیقه ورودی فرحزاده پایین
Fresh. It's probably a old video. There's no way this is recent. This is... it's not real, I'm pretty sure. Oh, this one is new. Look at this, I need to put the volume down. This is nuts. Look the numbers. Look, like there's at least 15 in the screen right now. This is nuts, man. Imagine, and they have their friend in there and their family and stuff. It's horrible. But I'm totally aware that it's probably well deserved, you know, but there's still real human into that. And look at the last strike. I'm gonna pause it. Look, the number of bomb right there, the smoke, all side to side. This is one of the biggest airstrike that we've seen, like in the past 20 years, probably. I don't know. I need to learn more about history shit.
The briefing from missiles, part of them.
Now look if there's some news. But I think this is people in Mongolia. What is happening? No. Ouch. This is like painful, man. No way people are doing that. It looked fun though. You see, when I was young, doing that with my brother would be a nice thing to do. So there's still nothing happening. Those city may be gonna get hit into 3 to 5 hours, but there's some strike that are coming from Iran to there to see. But we'll see. It's probably not gonna reach. So I'm gonna refresh this. Maybe there's some news again. Okay, so this is a drone going from Iran to Israel. One drone guy. No, but seriously, this is huge, man. Is there some other news?
Pour passer à un autre niveau, ça prend des buts et un leader avec toute une vision.
So it's conceivable. We don't know. And there are a number of options there. It was described to me by a senior Israeli official a couple of weeks ago that there's a green light. You could have a green light. Doesn't appear that we have the circumstances for that. You could have a yellow light, which would be something along the lines of, you can go, we're not going to stand in the way, but we're not going to back you up. You could have a red light where the U.S. might have said, don't go, and Israel overrules that in effect. It's not clear what happened here, but I will say that for some time U.S. officials have been concerned that it would not be with U.S. coordination.
Brett McGurk, I want to bring you in. First of all, I wonder what you make of that statement by the Secretary of State that the U.S. was not involved in this and that U.S. forces are their main concern in all of this. No mention of Iran's nuclear program and also of the range of options we were talking about 20 minutes ago. It now seems, or what do you make of what we know was the target?
Anderson, this is a hugely significant event. It is the upper range of what I laid out when we were first hearing about these reports. I have three immediate reactions. Number one, the statement from the Secretary of State, that is really the U.S. distancing itself from this action and basically saying to Iran, we had nothing to do with this. Don't come after us. If you come after us, we'll respond. But it's likely Iran will go after Israel.
The U.S. are trying to make money right
now. I think that's to be anticipated. I have a second question. The Israelis are going after the nuclear facilities. Here's the hard nut of this problem. They have to attack their enrichment facilities to really put a stop to the program. There are two enrichment facilities. One is Natanz, that is militarily vulnerable. The other is Fordo. And this is the deeply underground facility. And the Israelis could render it inoperable, very difficult to destroy it. So as I said earlier, I think an Israel-only strike against the nuclear facilities does not resolve this problem. I anticipate, again, from that Israeli statement, they're going after probably leadership targets, individuals involved in the nuclear program, and that this might go on for a few days. This is a massive escalation. I've been working these issues a long time. It's almost unimaginable that the Israelis did this really on their own without some coordination with the Americans and in the midst of diplomacy. I think, again, the trigger here, I mean, Iran really was playing with some fire when they announced putting these very sophisticated centrifuges and spinning them with fuel in the Fordo facility. That's what they announced today, and a new underground facility. But in any case, we're in the early hours of this, Anderson. I suspect Iran will respond. I discussed earlier the importance of setting up those defenses. That takes time. And I am not confident that's all in place right now. So again, higher end of the escalatory ladder that I had predicted. And now we have to see how this unfolds. But this is quite dramatic. And I'm surprised, honestly, that the Israelis chose to do this now without a coordinated plan with the Americans.
Well, Britt, to that point, given the U.S. concern for a long time about Iran's nuclear facilities and the enrichment program and the various efforts, the various ways the U.S. and others have tried to slow it down or stop it, are you surprised that with this response, it is essentially the U.S. distancing itself, to your words? That they are not taking part in this or kind of joining in?
That statement, very clear. A, hey, we had nothing to do with this. This isn't our attack. B, don't come after us. Come after us, it'll be a bad day for you, Iran. But that also basically means it's anticipated now that Iran will respond significantly against Israel. We will be in that defense of Israel, I have no doubt. So there's a very high risk of the U.S. being drawn into this. But I just think we're going to have some more information. I mean, again, Fordo to me is the key thing, because Fordo, very difficult to destroy militarily. If you don't destroy it militarily, Iran can enrich to weapons grade in Fordo with the centrifuges they have in a matter of days. And once they have a canister of weapons grade uranium, that's when you have a whole different problem. I mean, right now, they don't. So we have to see what the Israelis were targeting. And I think Fordo right now is the big question.
You said we will be, we meaning the United States, you said we will be involved in that defense, meaning the defense of Israel. Your earlier point is when you were in government and involved in the defense of Israel in prior attacks, there was a lot of planning in advance. If there hasn't been this planning in advance, how capable is the U.S. in helping in the defense of Israel if attacked?
We have significant systems in place. We have some of our most high-end air defenses in place, manned by American personnel in Israel. Those were deployed in the Biden administration. Those are still in place. We work side by side with the Israelis in the defense of Israel. I don't think we have deployed the missile defense, the missile destroyers that we had in the Eastern Mediterranean that were very effective in the October attack. So I don't think we're deployed to the same extent. But no doubt the Americans, I would anticipate, we will be involved in the defense of Israel, but we are not being involved, and Rubio's statement made clear, we are not a part of this attack into Iran.
I want to bring in retired Army Major General James Spider Marks. General, what do you make of this?
Pretty significant. Look, we have to look at this from the standpoint of what did Israeli forces see, what did the leadership in Tel Aviv and Jerusalem see that made them decide to pull the trigger at this point? Clearly, Tehran has been incredibly vulnerable. Both Hamas and Hezbollah have been damaged considerably. Houthis are still out there. There were preliminary attacks earlier in terms of air defense capabilities that are in Iran.
Hey, General Marks, I'm sorry. I'm just told we have our first video out of Iran. I just want to play that, and I'm not sure what we're going to see. It looks like some sort of fire explosion off in the distance. Okay, not as advertised. Continue.
True. Well, primarily what Iran has been incredibly defiant in terms of its capacities to enrich its uranium, and they have developed that, as Brett has indicated quite clearly. But there are two facilities that they have. They are developing a third facility very provocatively. IAEA has indicated they have missed the mark in terms of the standards necessary for them to be in compliance. So all of this put together, and then the bellicosity of the regime in Tehran has put all this together to make it very, very clear to Israel that they needed to do something, and now is the opportunity. In terms of our relationships, the United States relationship with Israel at this point, that remains to be seen. I can only imagine that Israel kept the United States apprised of what they were about to do, and certainly did not necessarily ask for permission. But I can only imagine that the United States was very much aware that this next step was going to happen, and it would be this level of attack. And look, it's not only going after those enrichment facilities. You're going after R&D facilities. You're going after military facilities. You're going after distribution capabilities. If they have a capability but they can't get the delivery means, you've gone after the missiles, the delivery. All of that is very, very, very likely targets.
I want to jump in. Oren Lieberman, I believe, has some more information. Oren?
We're just learning more about the expectations of how this could play out, not only from the Israeli side, but also from the Iranian side. The Israeli military official who we had spoken with earlier, when asked how long could this take, we've already said this isn't a one-off and this will be in waves, but we now know more. Quote, it could take a long time. We are prepared for that. These attacks were carried out by the Israeli Air Force using fighter jets that would effectively probably be at the very end of the range of that. So logistically, it's difficult to carry out waves of attacks continuously, and we might expect to see this play out not only as we have just seen, but also over and over again until Israel feels at least that it has accomplished the goals of this operation. In terms of the response itself, how soon could that come? The military official says it could come imminently, or they could take time in responding. Crucially, it is expected to be a larger response, or at least Israel has prepared for the possibility of a larger response. When we saw Iran launch attacks on Israel twice in the past, it was essentially one major wave. Yes, it took a bit of time, but it wasn't repeatedly over and over again. Here it seems Israel might be preparing for that possibility. The Israeli military official says, quote, we are prepared to defend ourselves for longer periods than we have in the past. And that's an indication of why you see the directives from Home Front Command, the closure of Israeli airspace. Israel knows, of course, that when it puts out a statement saying there will be multiple waves of attacks and we're going after some of the most valuable assets, the retaliation will be in kind.
Oren Lieberman, thank you. Thanks to everyone who joined us on short notice. The news continues. The Source with Caitlin Collins starts now.
This dude had like the eyes at the end. The news starts now.
This is CNN Breaking News.
And we do have breaking news, major breaking news tonight. Israel has launched what it is calling a preemptive strike on Iran. While we have seen explosions in Iran tonight, we're working this hour to determine the scale and the scope of the attack that is unfolding right now as we come on the air. The Israeli military confirms tonight that Iran's nuclear program and other military targets are part of these strikes, as sources tell CNN that the operation will happen in waves, that this is not expected to be a one-day mission, that we will see multiple rounds of what is playing out tonight. Meantime, at the White House, President Trump is going to convene a cabinet-level meeting, we are told, as soon as tomorrow, as U.S. officials tell CNN there was no U.S. involvement or assistance in these strikes. But it does appear that the United States got a heads up. We just got this statement from the Secretary of State, Marco Rubio, on what's unfolding in Iran tonight. I want to read it for you in full, where Secretary Rubio said, quote, tonight Israel took unilateral action against Iran. We are not involved in strikes against Iran, and our top priority is protecting American forces in the region. Israel has advised us that they believe this action was necessary for its self-defense. President Trump and the administration have taken all necessary steps to protect our forces and remain in close contact with our regional partners. Secretary Rubio goes on to say, quote, let me be clear, Iran should not target U.S. interest or personnel. This comes as Israel tonight has declared a state of emergency there, as officials say they do anticipate a missile and drone attack, a counter-response from Iran. It's unclear what role, if any, the United States would play in defending Israel from an Iranian attack, as the Biden administration did last October. Our CNN teams are on the ground from Washington to Jerusalem tonight as we are covering every angle of this breaking news story. I want to get right to CNN's Oren Lieberman, who is in Jerusalem. Oren, obviously this is something that people had been watching to see if this was going to happen. The president was just asked about this earlier today in Washington. What are you hearing from sources about what the scale and scope of this attack is looking like tonight?
Crucially, Caitlin, what we're looking at here is not a one-off. This is not a simple one-and-done attack, and we should be expecting waves of attacks over some period of time, whether that's several hours or several days. An Israeli source has told us that this will continue. This isn't a single target. An Israeli military official says there were in fact dozens of targets going after Iran's nuclear capabilities and their ballistic missile capabilities. We have also just learned that this has an operation, calling it Rising Lion, as Israel prepares for the possibility that there will be a series of strikes to try to carry out the intent of this operation, and that is, again, to go after Iran's nuclear facilities and their ballistic missile capabilities.
Like
this,
300 or 400 missiles that they launched.
The Israeli strikes we have seen on Iran in the past, and it's expected to play out over a longer period of time. When a military official was asked how long could it take to carry out the goal of this operation, in other words, how long could it take to destroy Iran's nuclear program or to at least reduce it to a point where Israel is satisfied with the results, that military official said, quote, "It could take a long time. We are prepared for that." It was just about less than an hour ago, I believe, that Israel's defense minister, Israel Katz, said that Israel had begun carrying out these preemptive strikes. And in doing so, he also said Israel is in a state of emergency and that the public here should listen to Home Front Command. Israel is very much preparing for the possibility of a retaliation from Iran, whether that's imminent or takes a longer period of time. That remains to be seen.
Transformez votre espace avec Simar, leader en cuisine.
So during the pause, I must say, so those missiles are, most of them, not launched by launch pad nowadays. Nowadays, the missiles are under jets. The jets go in the air and shoot missiles, and they go really, really far across country. And those missiles travel really, really fast. And now, since they just launched a lot of missiles, the plane need to go back, refuel, take the time to get some new missile in, and then it's just gonna keep going.
Home Front Command. Israel, frankly, knows the scale of what it started. We were just talking with Brett McGurk, and he said this is clearly on the far more escalatory side of options that Israel could have carried out when it comes to Iran. And that means the regional war, essentially a regional conflict that has been a concern here over the course of the past year and a half, now looks much closer than it has in quite some time, if not perhaps ever, because of the scope and the scale and, frankly, the targets that Israel is striking in Iran.
So given that, Oren, and given Israeli officials know that if they go after Iran's nuclear program, which they are confirming is part of the targets in these strikes tonight, which Brett McGurk was saying, that ups the ante here of what that counterattack could be. What have you been hearing about how Israeli officials have been deliberating about carrying out this attack, and what it was that made them eventually decide now is the time to go forward?
So first, crucially, as this was playing out, according to an Israeli official, Israel's National Security Cabinet was meeting and essentially watching this unfold. In terms of why now, an Israeli official says they felt that now was the time diplomatically and militarily where there was a window to act.
I'm gonna go look for more news. There's probably something new. So it's 4 hours ago. Most of the strike was there, and I feel like there's nothing new happening. Oh.
And in breaking news coming in, the Israeli Air Force conducted airstrikes on Iran with explosions being heard across Iran's capital, Tehran. The IDF spokesperson has said Israel launched a precise and integrated preemptive strike based on high-quality intelligence with the aim of striking the Iranian nuclear program and in response to the Iranian regime's ongoing aggression against Israel. Dozens of Air Force aircraft completed the opening strike, which included attacking dozens of military targets, including nuclear targets in various areas of Iran. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu made the statement saying, "We are at a decisive moment in Israel's history." Moments ago, Israel launched Operation Rising Lion against the Iranian threat to Israel's survival. He said our pilots are striking many targets in Iran "We struck at the heart of Iran's nuclear enrichment program, targeting Iran's main enrichment facility." He added that Israel has also struck the heart of Iran's ballistic missile program and that this operation will continue for as many days as it takes. Israel has declared a state of emergency, warning of retaliatory action from Tehran as well. Defense Minister Israel Katz said Israel conducted a preemptive strike against Iran and that a missile and drone attack against the state of Israel and its civilian population is expected in the immediate future. Air raid sirens were heard in Jerusalem after the Defense Ministry declared a state of emergency. The blast took place after US President Donald Trump warned that Israel could soon strike Iran's nuclear sites. President Trump has called National Security Cabinet meeting as well. So this is the latest that we are getting from West Asia. In the latest, Israeli Air Force carried out airstrikes on Iran with explosions heard across Iran's capital, Tehran. From what we do know so far, the aim was striking the Iranian nuclear program and in response to the Iranian regime's ongoing aggression against Israel. That's the latest that we do know right now. For more on this, we're now being joined by our correspondent Susan Tehrani from New York. Susan, thank you so much for joining us.
They say that they, not those people, but other sources say that they got around 20 people that was working on the nuclear project. They straight up target them and hit their location with missile. 20 of those people who was doing the nuclear project.
The individuals that are in that meeting, he did say in a statement that the United States was, quote unquote, not involved in strikes against Iran, and our top priority is protecting American forces in the region. He added that Israel advised us that they believe this action was necessary for its self-defense. He ended his statement with a warning to Iran against any form of retaliation aimed at the U.S. forces in the region, saying, quote, "Let me be clear, Iran should not target U.S. interests or personnel." Now, we're also hearing that a U.S. defense official said that air defense systems were being deployed to protect the more than 40,000 American troops scattered at more than a dozen military bases in the region. But he declined to say what the role the United States was taking in Israel's defense in the event of an Iranian retaliation. Now, we are hearing unconfirmed reports that Iran has started in earnest its retaliation against Israel. We don't have that confirmed, but the United States wanted to make sure that it was clear that these were unilateral strikes by Israel against the Islamic Republic of Iran. Again, we don't know if the United States will play a role and if Israel's defense in the event of Iranian retaliation or not. This is the latest that we have here. Of course, it's important to note that some 40,000 U.S. military personnel are stationed in the Persian Gulf and elsewhere in the Middle East. These forces are to defend American bases and interests in the region, including the defense of Israel. Now, the aircraft carrier Carl Vinson, armed with F-35 fighter jets, is currently in the Arabian Sea as we speak. But those forces were on high alert on Thursday, which is today, and this was in preparation for this possible retaliatory strike that may take place by Iran against Israel. Military planners were weighing how and when to move some military aircraft out of the immediate area, this in order to reduce the chance of them being struck by retaliatory fire from Iran.
Right, Susan. What we have also been seeing, Susan, why this also may come as a surprise, is that we've been seeing, well, not really a surprise, allow me to correct myself, but we've been seeing that Donald Trump has been trying to keep Israel at bay when it comes to Iran, especially considering that the United States and Iran have been engaged in negotiations as well. They haven't yielded any concrete results yet, but that is the scenario on ground. In light of that, these Israeli strikes, how do you think things are going to pan out between the three now?
Yeah, it's important to note that President Trump and his most senior aides knew about these strikes. They knew it was likely coming. This is according to the New York Times. Whether or not Donald Trump tried to deter Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu from taking action, again, that's a very gray area. We've heard from the president today. He said that these negotiations between Iran and the United States, the nuclear talks, were going to happen this weekend with Iran's foreign minister. Now, after this strike, whether or not the U.S.-Iran negotiation is going to continue happening That's yet to be seen. A lot of it depends on those negotiations, but it is very clear, I think, to Israeli officials and United States officials, from what we know so far, that Iran will indeed retaliate in some way and strike back, perhaps a lot sooner this time than previous. If you remember, the last time Israel struck Iran, Iran took about 12 days to retaliate. That doesn't seem to be the case. It seems the situation is unfolding a lot quicker than before. So that's why perhaps Israel and Tel Aviv and Jerusalem are all on a state of high alert and a state of emergency.
All right. Well, Susan, thank you so much for bringing us the latest on this. Of course, we'll continue to track all developments closely on this.
Let's see if there's other news about that.
And in breaking news coming in, the Israeli Air Force conducted airstrikes on Iran with explosions being heard across Iran's capital, Tehran. The IDF spokesperson has said...
I think she just repeat the same thing over and over. There's not a lot of news about that stuff. This one is 2 hours ago. Oh, it's a 30-second.
Yeah, Trace, I just heard from an Israeli source who gave us some new insight on the strikes that are still taking place tonight, targeting not only Iranian nuclear facilities, also the country's ballistic missile program and specific individuals. This source, speaking to Fox News, says Israel was able to surprise Iran. Israel managed to hit several targets in the heart of Tehran and to eliminate multiple senior Iranian regime leaders simultaneously in different spots. Even though Iran will retaliate, this is a surprise and execution at a level similar to what Israel did in the Beeper operation. That is a well-placed Israeli source, again, exclusively speaking to Fox about the operation overnight that included multiple airstrikes that took place simultaneously in various parts of Iranian territory.
That's huge, man. Are there real news? I'm trying to filter as much as I can. So for the moment, I feel like there are not hitting news. Oh, look at this. Look at this. Boom. Yeah, this is this is what is happening right now at LA, man. This is a civil dude, bro. Wait. So he's destroying the European Union flag right now. What? And it's who? It's politician Gregors Brown. The European Union is collapsing, seems like. Damn. So he wiped it with his shoes and then burned it. I guess we can easy imagine it. Oh, he's burning it right now. Damn. Imagine you're doing politics and you do that. Okay, let's go back to YouTube. It's pretty hard to to get the news first, and I feel like there's no other news happening right now. It's just like ended.
نزدیک پادگان قلمرویه.
So that was a pretty good stream, guys. I'm gonna do one last go there. Can you, if you want to subscribe, go for it. I'm gonna go more over the news. I'm gonna just keep doing that type of stream, and you know, tomorrow there's gonna be more about this war. I'm gonna try to cover it as much as I can. I know that it's a gaming channel, but it's not gonna stay a gaming channel. I'm gonna do more than just gaming, you know, like it was just to start it. And now since I have, I start to have a decent view base, it's the time to do stuff. This dude dropped out of school? I don't think he's gonna survive long, bro. He's in t-shirt? Wait a second.
Flattest country in the world, Denmark. I had no outdoor knowledge or something like that 3 or 4 years ago. And since then, I've just been grinding out here.
4
living
years?
like a wild animal. I don't regret it. Do I regret quitting school? Definitely not. It's been 3 years now since I'm not in the school anymore. And I'm full-time traveling, making fires, eating chicken.
Nah, he's fake. There's just no way he's living like that in the winter, bro. 3 years? With nothing? Burger King employee, bro.
Don't fucking touch him. Don't touch him.
You don't mess with this Burger King employee, bro.
It's on camera. Yo, you're acting out of control, sir. You're acting out of control.
Oh, he's ready, man. Whoa, okay, whoa. Okay, I probably cannot look at this on YouTube, sorry. It's not a good thing, but don't fuck with Burger King people, bro. This is what happens if you fuck with Burger King people, bro. So yeah, it was a pretty good stream. I'ma hand it there. I want to thank everyone who just passed by. I wish you a good day.